are now recording. Okay, so we're back in. Well, we're in virtual Derry and Tom's today, aren't we? Thanks to lockdown Britain. But I'm in virtual Derry and Tom's with Hussein. Welcome back, Hussein, to Breakfast in the Ruins. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, and I think it was actually last November or thereabouts. We recorded phase one.
Oh.
So 10 months down the line, we get to phase two. And I've got to say, we were going to record this a while back, weren't we?
But I think we've already done this a while ago, and we've just somehow, this is like deja vu in true kind of Moorcock, Jerry Cornelius style.
Well, we've done this before, but last time I was brown and you were white. Now that'll make sense to you.
And I was a woman.
Yeah, that'll make sense to you when we get around to reading Cure for Cancer at some point, probably around 2036. At the end of this as well, there's also that indication again that whilst this is what in 1965 or 66, when this was published in New Worlds originally, would have been almost a dystopian view of London and sexuality and what was going on. Now it just feels really familiar. It's automatically familiar.
It is, and I think it touches on later on in this chapter, or maybe in the next chapter, I'm not sure. I think it is later on in this chapter. But this idea that we're now better off, in terms of our kind of materialistic life, etc. But on our spiritual kind of side, we're kind of a little bit more deficient. And I think it's that kind of thing again, whereby we've sort of reached that sort of point especially I think in today's world, where we if we reflect on ourselves, a lot of people are trying to kind of like constantly, it's that loneliness that they're sort of battling.
But he's game for anything, but he is spiritually pretty empty.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is spiritually empty, but socially he gets all of his nourishment through social means. And then there's a paragraph here which, once again, when I read it, is just, well, I'll just read it. Aimlessly, he wandered among the pin tables and fruit machines, bent over by happy young men who worked them excitedly, hand in hand. Jerry sighed and thought that the true aristocracy who would rule the 70s were out in force. The queers and the lesbians and the bisexuals, already half aware of their great destiny, which would be realised when the central ambivalence of sex would be totally recognised and the terms male and female would become all but meaningless. Here they were. As he wandered, he was surrounded by all the possible replacements for sex, one or several of which would become the main driving force for the humanity of circa 2000. Light, colour, music, the pin tables, the pill dispensers, the gun ranges, scarcely substitutes for sex anymore, but natural replacements. So 1965, he wrote that. And we do kind of exist now in that world where transgenderism and the deconstruction of traditional gender roles and identities is happening all the time around us. I mean, it's causing a lot of angst. You only have to look at Twitter and people trying to cancel J.K. Rowling and people like that because they're arguing for a more formal, structured, sticking to this. It's hard to have an opinion on it as a hetero male without kind of getting involved. It's just in upsetting people, but it's happening all around us. And it's a really strong theme throughout the book as well.
Yeah, we touched on it, I think, on the last podcast. But this is, is so spot on. It's so timely, and this is one of the reasons why when I first read this, when we first kind of went through the podcast, I was really like surprised by how relevant so many things are in this book to today.